Hello Reds, welcome along to All for United. Hello guys, welcome along to All for United. It's Ben here with another... And now I just say, by the way, the irony of Karthik at the end of the intro shouting, we're going to win the Champions League. Here we are doing a Europa League preview. It's so ironic, isn't it? I'm just going to mute you guys because someone's got the video on and we can hear you in the background. So I'm just going to quickly mute you guys so you can check that is muted if you have got the stream up. Hello, and welcome to our preview ahead of the first leg of the semi-final in Europa League. Roma, of course, the hot talking point. I've got Stu and Jeff with me to chat about United, but we are so thrilled to be joined by YouTuber and also massive Roma fan, Wayne in Rome. Wayne's with us stateside. Wayne, you all right, mate?
Hey guys, I think I need to rejoin because there's like a replay.
Also massive Rome. Oh, okay, mate. You jump out and then jump back in. Jump back in, mate. There you go. We'll get Wayne back in a second. First of all, let's get some United point of views then, shall we? Let's come over to you first, Stu. How are you feeling ahead of this one?
Yeah, feeling pretty good actually. What I like to see though, and Ollie's got to go for it tomorrow. He can't be doing this double pivot McFred. I really think our best chance of getting through over the two legs is to not concede tomorrow night and come away with 2 goals. I think the game will be set up ideally for Donny. European match, European style. I'd like to see him play just one holding player. I think Fred, because I think he's perhaps more industrious at the three of them. Matic actually might do a good job against Roma because I don't think they're a fast-flowing team. I don't think they'll press us high. I don't think they'll press us fast. I think they'll sit a little deep. So I kind of think if he runs with, say, Fred or Matic, definitely Van der Beek, definitely Pogba, Bruno, Cavani up top, and then possibly Greenwood as well and Rashford. I think we could come away with a result, but we have to win 2-0 tomorrow night.
Within yourselves, I've got to quickly take a call. Sorry, keep going within yourselves. I'm going to add Wayne back in. Hopefully, there's no lag. There's no lag.
Hi, Wayne.
See, from the first second, I tried to implode your show. I had it playing in the background. Like, what's happening here?
Yeah, I was just saying that for us tomorrow, I think our best chance of going through over the two legs is to win 2-0 tomorrow night. Because from what I've seen of Roma, correct me if I'm wrong, Wayne, but they're not what I would call an expansive side, not a very fast and fluid side.
You get a Jekyll and Hyde. We're either going to have our top players in there and we'll be quite fluid, or we're going to be starting players who have been in the rotation and they might miss some of the mechanics that Fonseca has really employed within this team. He's a really good coach, but his tactics demand not just a starting 11, but if you want to take on the Europa League and Serie A, you need a starting 22. Really, you need 2 full teams to play his type of champagne football. So it's going to be one or the other. I think with our starting lineup, that I think we will be technical tomorrow. I think we will look to play our game rather than sit back the way we did the second leg against Ajax. And hopefully Dzeko puts in a performance that's from years ago. Maybe in the Manchester City title race. Probably not the right place to mention that. But
do you think you're going to press us then? Do you think you'll put a high press on us, or?
I think they will probably sit a little bit further back, and then the counterattacks will be pretty intricate. I'm expecting that there will be a lot of movement in the counters that look very trained on the pitch.
I mean, for us, Jeff, we clearly need to try and keep your wing backs, keep Roma's wing backs in their half. Right. So we need to use Rashford and Greenwood if we are going to go with Rashford and Greenwood to push you down. What do you think?
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. And actually, what I'm worried about is, with Old Trafford games, 1 or 2 players will have that extra lift. I'm looking at Chris Smalling and Edin Dzeko, as Wayne mentioned. There's just something about either old former United players or former United rivals that when they come back to Old Trafford, they just play out of this world sometimes. So especially with Chris Smalling coming back from injury, he might get away with one from a set piece. He was good with for us with those, right? So yeah. Personally, I'm pretty confident. But then again, we don't know. With same with I think we have the same situation with Wayne mentioned. It can be a Jekyll or Hyde, depending on what mood we're in, basically. And I'm curious who Oli will start. Is it De Gea or Henderson? Right? Because it's a semis, but it's a Europa League, and Hendo's the number one now. But who will he play tomorrow? So we'll see.
Yeah. I'm hoping that we are as fluid as we could possibly be. Our problem, Wayne, is, as you've probably already realised, is we start very, very slowly in matches for some reason, and there's not a person in the fan base of Manchester United that can understand why that is the case. I would imagine, is that something you've identified? Do you think Fonseca would have drilled into that? You're obviously going to come for the away goal. Obviously, you have to. You can't afford not to. Do you think Fonseca's perhaps noticed that and maybe will set you up to kind of counter that in the first 20 minutes?
I'm going to bet on that, actually. Yeah, thinking in Old Trafford, United's a team that's accustomed to pressing. I mean, the EPL is just a completely different type of game than Serie A. Even in 2021, I mean, it was so much more obvious in like the 90s where Italian football was quintessential catenaccio, right? And now Italian football has evolved. And look, we have a Portuguese coach, Portuguese tactician. So it's a completely different type of game they're playing. But I do think the setup will look to absorb a little bit of United's motivation, their nerves to start off, because there's going to be that pressure on them at Trafford to come out and get us. That 20 minutes, I think you make a good point there, is going to – there could be some fireworks in those first 20 minutes, for better or worse.
Sorry about that, guys. I had to take a call quickly. All over the place tonight. I'm so sorry, Wayne. This is usually how professional I am. I don't know what you guys have asked, Wayne. I don't know what you've spoken about, but I'm going to start completely on a line here because I've got a few questions I really want to ask Wayne to get a few black and white questions out of him. Guys, get in the live chat, hit subscribe, hit the like button, by the way. So, Wayne, Roma. I haven't seen a lot of Roma. I heard Stu say before that you're in a bit of shaky form at the moment. But please, tell us a little bit about what we can expect in general from Roma's style of play on Thursday.
Look for a 3-4-2-1 is pretty much our dedicated formation. And from there, we've seen the 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 at times, depending on in defense or attack. So there's been a rotation of formation, but Fonseca has been sticking to the 3-5-2 solely this year. And that has been such an incredible thing for Spinazzola, who's had his career reignited as a wing back, because when he was playing a left back in the 4-2-3-1, the movement was a little bit different. He wasn't taking players on the way that he is now. So you have on the right Wan-Bissaka, who in my opinion is phenomenal outside back, and he's going to be taking on Spinazzola, who is arguably the best wing back in Serie A. So that's going to be such an interesting battle. But Roma has been hot and cold. When we lost players, we stopped playing our game. We stopped playing pretty football. And that was going to be inevitable. But Roma's not the team who has the revenue in there where they can play on three fronts. Not yet. We have a brand new ownership. Last year was our so-called year zero. Right now is an evolving state. And Mkhitaryan has been a big part of that, leading the way while the younger guys get better. But once Mickey and Jordan Veretout, who used to play for Villa, went down, and Spinazzola, it was just a different team, and we stopped playing our way. And forget about Smalling. I mean, for the first time in a long time, he played last weekend, and it was, even though we lost against Coyote, it was such a difference to see a true center back like Smalling playing over a makeshift formation. So if we're on our A game, there hasn't been much of our A game because of injuries. So what we can see is really going to depend on how the players approach it. I can't say for certain this is Roma because we haven't had that opportunity to see what Roma really is. So that's been that's been a bit of a tricky thing for us fans, is these injuries. So who's the real Roma? And that's what I want to see, because I think on our day, we're a very good side. Our keeper, the keeper has been a bit of an issue with his feet, but he's made some excellent saves with his hand.
Yeah, don't talk to us about keepers, Wayne. We've had our own troubles with keepers this season. Who's in, who's out? Basically, the goalkeeper union is shaking it all about at the moment. I'll tell you, there's no real standouts are there out there. It's interesting that you mentioned, Wayne, you're three at the back, because, Jeff, let me come over to you next. Last season, Ollie tended to match up against teams that went three at the back, man for man. So could this be something that we see Ollie bring back into for the game against Roma? Or do you think he'll go for his trusted 4-2-3-1 and, like Stu said, really go for it?
I don't think so. Always changed a lot since his interim days. And last year he had match day lineups and formations, but now he's really sticking to his guns and doing that 4-2-3-1 formation. So in terms of that, I think he'll go for it. He might get away with Matic on the side, and then Pogba with that double pivot, just because it's a European game, so where the pace is a bit slower. So Matic might be able to cope up with the full liney, or a bit less if we need to score. No, so I think I'll go for it, because this is the last chance of silver we're having. So I don't think he's gonna go for the league now, even though there's a mathematical possibility. But I think we'll go for it, just so we don't get don't concede those away goals, and as Stu said, hopefully we get a 2-0 result come Thursday.
It's interesting, Stu, that you mentioned earlier on that Thursday could be a day for Van der Beek. Stu there mentioned it could be a day for Nemanja Matic. If Wayne's right and they go for the formation with a 3, then obviously the midfield and then the 1 and 2. Ultimately, it's going to be really important to have a holding midfielder in there, isn't it? So as much as maybe McFred isn't the right midfield, could Matic be someone who could really stifle Roma?
Yeah, Matic would work, because he's quite a methodical player. Matic is. He's one of my favourites, not players in the group, but he's how I would play CDM. He'll get a hold of the ball and I'll move it 2 or 3 yards. But he can also pick a pass up to the front 3 as well. So I think Matic would be quite a good foil for Pogba and Mkhitaryan and Mickey. Yeah, sorry about that. And Van der Beek. But I actually feel that this game would suit Van der Beek quite well. I think I'm right in saying Roma aren't what you would call a physical side. And I think over the last couple of weeks, Van der Beek has started to get used to the physicality of the Premiership. But he's so smart, is Van der Beek. He plays between the lines brilliantly. And I think with Pogba and Fernandes alongside him or in with him, they'll be the ones that will be able to pick him out when he is in acres of space on the 18-yard area, where sometimes like Rashford, Greenwood, they can be a little bit selfish and they won't look to pick out Van der Beek. I also think that with Roma's formation, and it was quite interesting, because I've always thought they weren't a truly industrious side. So it's great to hear a fanatic to talk about how industrious they can be. But if they are an industrious side, might actually play into our hands a little bit as well. And I'm sure everybody knows, because we don't play that well sometimes against the low block. If they do come out and do attack us, it could actually play into our hands.
Yeah, Wayne, it'd be interesting to hear your point on that. You've just mentioned a little bit about how you play, but ultimately in the bigger games, sometimes the whole rule book and tactical book that goes out the window sometimes with managers, and they tend to set up dependent on who that team is. Do you think your manager would have seen, and do you think ultimately the coaching staff would have seen how United have played against the likes of Real Sociedad, Leipzig, even PSG at times this season, and some of the bigger Premier League games as well? How we've struggled against the low block, but ultimately when a team's matched us, we've completely blown them out the water. Do you think it would be a cautious approach in the first leg by Roma?
I do think the first 20 minutes, I don't think you're going to get Roma to come out and play too much. Just imagining that they're going to try to absorb just a little bit more than this all-out attack. I don't think we're going to go EPL style for EPL style. I don't think we're accustomed to that type of match. And when we played that way in Ajax, there were lulls and extensive periods of time where we lost out, because Ajax does play that way, and they will look to exploit you by playing their game against your game, whatever it is. And it's not just a sit and hide approach. So as the game gets more open up, inevitably I think Roma would become a little bit less disciplined and opportunities could arise from there. I get a little bit nervous that what if Manchester United keeps on putting that pressure and okay, for the first 20 minutes and then the game opens up. What if it doesn't open up? What if United stays on for 40 minutes? They sit back for 5 or 7 minutes, but then they reignite for the second half. That does scare me a little bit if Roma can play out of that pressure, because we've struggled against big teams this past year. So I want to see if we can take on that challenge, because I think that if United is very fit, you have the players, you have the resources where you can compete on two fronts. I mean, player for player, United's very difficult to compete against. So it's going to be interesting and a little bit scary.
I can see the fear in your face as well, which is nice, but also actually quite worrying, because who knows what's going to happen. Let me just quickly ask you then, Wade, about injuries. I looked through your teams for your last 3 or 4 games, and I know results haven't been too great, but even looking at your recent Europa League sides, etc., you literally don't know what 11's going on the pitch game after game at the moment, do you? How's everything looking with the squad going into Thursday, and are there going to be names out?
The trident and the back three continuously switches. It could be anybody from Pellegrini up top as a right winger to Mkhitaryan. El Shaarawy has rejoined Dzeko, Borja Mayoral, Carlos Perez. So there's a rotation, and there hasn't been that set. Like, okay, for example, Barcelona's incredible side. You had Neymar, Messi, and Suarez. You know those three were going out every match. Roma, you have no idea. It could always be changing, and then there's this Dzeko situation with Mayoral. So there's that unpredictability. Does that hurt teams? Maybe, for the sense that they can't prepare as well. But I think the one thing it detracts from us is chemistry, and I think that's such a big part of football. And just being accustomed with who you're playing against in like 2-3 years before you really start to gel. And then the back three with Smalling, the injuries, we paid a lot of money for him. Unfortunately, this season, it just hasn't worked out in not technically, but in terms of his fitness, he's struggled, and I'm hoping that he did have COVID, and I'm hoping that next year will be more fortuitous for him. And that's another situation where we've had Cristante, who used to play an attacking mid for Atalanta, where he scored something like 12 goals the year before we bought him, and now he's playing our sweeper. He plays our central center back. So there's a lot of unpredictability, but I think if we go out with Smalling and Mancini and Ibanez, I don't know if Mancini's suspended, then we've got a nice lineup there. Unfortunately, Kumbula, he was a big player, a big signature for us. He hasn't been able to play this year. He just got a ligament injury. So we'll see. We'll see what the defense looks like. And they've made a bunch of errors. We have conceded the most goals in the top 10. It's 51 goals. So,
I think Mancini is suspended. I think you're right there.
Yeah, he got the double yellow. I was hoping it was going to be erased because he's been our best defender. But
yes. What about is Smalling fit then? Is he fit to play? Same with Mkhitaryan. Is he fit to play
now? Because he played on the weekend. He played Sunday, and just having him back there, like, he's a unit. He's a big dude and very strong. And I've been one of his real supporters. But I do think that most Roma fans have enjoyed him as well when he's on the pitch. He's a real leader. They gave him assistant captain, I think, his first year. So that says a lot, in a transition.
You said you paid a lot for him. I don't think you paid enough, mate.
It was only, what was it, 20 million euros, wasn't it?
That's a lot for a Serie A side.
Yeah. If that with Ed Woodward's record.
Oh,
yeah.
God, yeah.
Our numbers are a bit different than yours, where you guys buy Harry Maguire for something like 50.
Yes.
But those numbers don't exist in Serie A.
Money well spent, mate. Money well spent, depending on what United fan you speak to. But from my point of view, money well spent. There's some really fascinating and great insight there from Wayne. Jeff, we don't have our own injury issues, but we do have our consistency issues, don't we? Yep. In terms of that, we just don't know what United team are going to turn up, to be quite honest with you.
Right.
Mark coins the phrase all the time, we need to start quickly. Evidently, from what Wayne was saying there, it is so important that we do start quickly against Roma, because we don't want them to settle into the tie. We need to force the issue from the off and try and find that complacency that Wayne was sort of hitting on, don't we, Jeff?
Right. Let me just say, when Wayne said that that United can compete in two fronts, like even when we do like these shows, we're not even confident if we can compete in two fronts. So that's a bit of a refreshing point of view to hear. So yeah, as I mentioned also earlier in the show, that similar to what Wayne said, it can be a Jekyll or Hyde from Roma's point of view. So it's the same for us. We don't know what team's going to turn up. Is it someone who's going to be off the blocks, like the 6-2 score that we did against Leeds, or is it the 0-0 team that we did over the weekend? So hopefully, Ole's got it down, and then when we do that, have that creative midfield, super creative midfield. That's Matic, Pogba, Van de Beek, Bruno. I mean, then we can be more confident that we can, get away with a clean sheet and more goals to bring to Rome next week.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Stu, what about our attacking options? Obviously, Bruno's a dead cert. Will we see Pogba in the middle, do you think? Will we see him on the left? Rashford obviously will play. There's no doubt about it. He might be half fit at the moment, Wayne, but honestly, Rashford half fit is better than most players physically, like completely fit. It's been crazy the numbers he's been putting in. And what about where does Greenwood and James fit into this United side? Are they more players from the bench, Stu, for Thursday?
Yeah, I don't think we'll see James. I don't think we'll see. Right, it depends what he plays. It depends if he does the double pivot. Then chances are you may see Pogba out on the left. Yeah, is it his best position? I know a lot of fans think it is. I'm not so sure. I like him in the centre of midfield. I like him with a free role, actually, a little bit like Bruno. And I'm hoping that that's what Ole's looking to do at some point in the future. Cavani for me is a dead cert to start, and I think he'll give Roma's back three problems because his movement is second to none, and I think we're desperate for him. Rashford for me is a dead cert as well. Whoever plays up top, if we do go with the three, they've got to occupy their fullbacks, Roma's fullbacks, because if that one player is as quick and as Don Spinazzola, I think he is, as Jason was saying, if he is quick. I mean, obviously, I'm pretty sure that Wan-Bissaka can take care of him because we've got the best, tackling fullback in the world currently. But for me, it's all about our pace. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Provided we can attack the 18-yard area with real gusto, real venom, real power, pace, I don't think Roma's back three or back five, as it will be, can live with us. So I'd like to see that fluidity within the middle. I would like to see us take a risk. I'd like to see Ole want to win this semi-final, take it by the scruff of the neck and play Pogba, Van de Beek and Fernandes in the same side.
What do you think, Wayne, in terms of from a United fan's point of view or a Manchester United point of view?
I called you Jason, didn't I? Sorry, pal.
Point of view. I was wondering what you were saying then, Stu. From our point of view, we've played AC Milan, who are having an all right season, or actually quite a good season, keeping up with Inter Milan in the league. Obviously, Roma, so to speak, are slightly off. What can we take away from the AC Milan match and take into the Roma game? Are they two completely different entities, or are there any similarities between Milan and Roma?
No, they're a team we completely outplayed, and I think in the first game we had a draw, and I can't wait to play them again. And they just get on my nerves with Ibrahimovic, and I think they had a really good first run. It's not that I think they did have a very good first half of the season. I always felt in a way that their players were overrated. Their coach was whatever. I think they had a good core, have a good core. They just got a new center back. Kessié is a really good center midfielder and a couple other good players, but a phenomenal team. Nah, no way.
Do you know what? Actually, Wayne, can I just hit on that? Funnily enough, I've not checked the Serie A table since we did our preview show before the first leg, and they were second, something like 4 points off of Inter Milan at that point. Shows how quickly football changes. They're now fifth.
Yeah.
14 points off of the top spot.
Yeah, they're done. I hope they go to Serie B at this rate.
Half thoughts on Liverpool.
Yeah, what a fan, true fan. Love it.
But still, that team you're talking about, Wayne, just to bring it back for any AC Milan fans watching, you are 11 points off them at the moment. So in terms of learning about the competitive nature in Serie A, or so to speak, the gulf between the two clubs, are you sort of saying that they're stylistically really different and potentially they've managed to stay a bit more consistent with their form than you guys throughout?
They're definitely consistent. They had a good core, and Kessie is becoming a really great player, surrounded by Castillejo, who was doing really good. I'm not sure right now. I hear a lot of Milan fans groaning. Ibrahimovic was in an insane form. They got another player. I forget his name. He has a Spanish name. And then on the left, they have oh my gosh, he played in Germany. What is his name? But
the German left back.
No.
Theo Hernandez. Sorry, not German. He's Theo Hernandez.
There was the striker. He played. What is not Mandzukic? Kalinoglu has been doing really well. Rebic. I was super surprised they started playing him on the wings. He's like a quintessential number 9. I was a little baffled by that. But that's the Ibrahimovic effect, and now they're contracted to pay him for another few years, I think, and he has been playing like half the amount of games. I'm reading some of these comments, and Mkhitaryan should be fit. Roma's not a world-class team. Yeah, we're in a revolution. Yeah, I don't like that word, but a changing of the guard, new ownership right now. So things are hopefully turning around. We also had a 10-year delay in our stadium, which has now been abandoned, which we don't have the financial structure that English teams or even an MLS team might have with getting a private stadium, so we can't collect our revenue. So because we can't collect our revenue, we can't make long-term major purchases, and it so affects us by not getting that stadium. But we were very close to becoming a world-class team, I think, if that had gone through. And now maybe we'll go and get another stadium now. So that's been a couple of our issues that I'm hoping improve as a fan. It's been a really long process. It's disappointing. There's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of secret handshakes in Italy. It's just disappointing at times.
Hey, look, Wayne, you think you've been disappointed by secret handshakes and things bubbling in the background. Let me tell you, as a fan of a Super League club, next level, mate. Next level. Just looking through some of these comments here, some really, really nice comments coming in on the game. It's going to be a really, really interesting one, that's for sure. I have got to highlight this comment, though. Where's it gone? It's around here somewhere. Oh, Ugly Bear, have you deleted your comment on Bruno Fernandes? Oh, no, here we go.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
I think Bruno is okay, but nothing special.
Oh, I'll take him.
Ugly Bear, I really like you. You're in the live chat for most shows. You have very opinionated thoughts. But if you think Bruno Fernandes is just okay, you need to reevaluate your opinions on footballers globally. Because he is the numbers he puts up is insane. And to be honest, I don't mind him going through what might be cast as a dip in form, because ultimately, a player like him should not be putting up those numbers anyway. They should be shared amongst other players within the team. But because it's all been on him, shows how special he actually is. And he's an anomaly. 100% is an anomaly. And once the Euros are done, once he's got some rest, I think he'll be back firing to his best at the start of next season with better players around him too. And I think that's what's quite exciting. And talking about what's exciting, that we've heard from Wayne about Roma, Jeff. So now we're Man United fans, and let's lay into him. How convinced are you that United are going to beat this Roma side on Thursday?
With all United games, I'm a bit not really too nervous, but yeah, it's going to be a tricky fixture for sure. Again, we don't know what team will turn up, and then if De Gea is going to start, how will that affect Harry and Lindelof? As you know, they are two different defenders when Hendo's in goal as compared to when De Gea is in goal. So I think it's a tricky fixture. We can expect we want to expect a 2-3-0 win, but it might end up like a 1-0 or a 1-1 draw, just like what happened to Leeds. We were pretty confident against Leeds, and then that happened. So I hope we do, as Mark would say, get off the blocks quite quickly, and just get on with it and focus on Europa League and just get second for now. I was confident for 21 at 21, but let's be realistic and just go for Europa League.
Do you know what? Maybe I'm slightly wrong on this then. If this wasn't a semi-final, I would be saying this, I think for United should be a comfortable game. Just ultimately, I think it plays out for us. I think ultimately we can match Roma toe to toe, and that's no disrespect, Wayne. I know you're sat there listening to me say this. It's probably not what you want to hear, but naturally, from some of the stuff that I've seen for Roma against Ajax, like you said, Roma are vulnerable when they really do press and when they leave gaps in behind. United are the perfect team to exploit those gaps. Ultimately, it's just about whether United can get Roma to face up against us. And I honestly feel like, a bit like before we went into the Sociedad game, in terms of the way the game should pan out and could pan out, I genuinely think it could be quite similar. Because Roma know they're going to need that away goal. They know they're going to need it. At some point, they're really going to have to try and press and try to maybe go slightly against what may be frustrating United game plan they might have in the hat. But ultimately, with that three at the back, which I do sort of expect you to play, Wayne, maybe shock us and go with a four and try and match up the front players. We've got the perfect players to get in behind those wing backs. And then if you're matching the three at the back on a one-on-one, I fancy Rashford against Smalling. I fancy Cavani against is it Mancini or Mancini? Maldini? Mancini, yeah. And then I fancy Pogba or Greenwood. Against your other centre back. That's how badly revised I am. One-on-one, I fancy those three all the time. It's just a shame we haven't got Anthony Martial, because I think he would tear holes. So I think the only way for me, Stu, is mentality. This is a semi-final.
I think you're right, Ben, because I think Fonseca is quite a pragmatic coach, and I think he'll look at it as if to say that he won't rely on Roma getting a result if they need one in the second leg because of our away form this year. And if we can get a leg up in the first leg, then we're going to, I think we'll play not an expansive game in Rome. I think we'll play a more kind of introvert game. We won't sit back, but I think we'll be a lot tougher to beat out in Rome. We're not conceding a huge amount of goals. We're defending very, very well. I actually think that Maguire and Lindelof will love playing against Dzeko. He's a big, gangly centre forward, and I think Maguire likes that type of player. Wayne will probably, tell me if they've got players that can dip in and out in between the lines. But yeah, as an out-and-out forward, Dzeko doesn't have the same movement that Cavani's got. So I think Fonseca is going to have to come out at some point within that game and show his teeth, because I don't think he will risk either a 1-0 loss or a 0-0 draw going back to Rome, because I think he'll know our away form and he'll know what we're capable of. I also agree with Wayne, man for man. I think we're a better 11 than Rome, and that's no disrespect, Wayne, but you appear to be a football purist. And understand the game, so I think you'd probably accept that point. But here's the thing, and Jeff is right. There's no God-given right. There's no divine right to win a football match. You've got to go out there and you've got to win it, and we're going to have to win. I think 2-0 on Thursday.
Depending how pragmatic that starting 11 is for Roma and how United start the game, I think we can get the job done in the first leg. I just think it's really dependent on us. I think, Wayne, the things that fall into your hat here, and maybe this is where you can give us some of your thoughts on where your confidence as a Roma fan might lie in terms of facing United, is that if you did sit with a low block, you might fancy you guys to poach it. Ultimately, maybe United, on a midfield point of view, aren't as strong as many other bigger clubs in Europe right now. That McFred partnership, I think any midfielder going up against that would be quite confident of winning that battle, to be frank, at the moment. But additionally, our form at Old Trafford hasn't been great, even in these second legs of games of ties that are more or less over, so to speak. Real Sociedad, we struggled. In the quarterfinals, we struggled. So ultimately, for you guys, you must be looking at this as a few weak areas for United. Where would you highlight? What would you highlight going into this one on Thursday?
I think somebody brought up a really good point before about Cavani and that he drifts in between the back line. That's been a really big danger for us this year, is that deep ball. Let's say Matic plays that deep ball into Cavani, who's drifting in between the three. That might be United's, or I should say Roma's, weak link there, above all else, probably I would be concerned with that. So I think having Smalling back is going to be huge because then he can take care of that. On the other hand, I think Roma's counter has been really good. I've seen them play out of the back and score a magnificent goal less than 3 weeks ago. So stripped within our keeper's box, played all the way out to Calafiori, our wing back, who's probably not going to start over Spinazzola, who played it into Dzeko, and that was our second goal. That was our goal to draw level in the second leg against Ajax. If you are on YouTube right now, check out that goal because it was really well orchestrated. So if we can grind out those movements, play that really nice football, then I think we've got a chance. If we go toe-to-toe with Pogba, who is the best center midfielder in Serie A, and Martial and Fernandes, I mean, these are great players. Do we have great players? We have really good players, plus Mkhitaryan, who I think is a great player, and Dzeko, who's older now. And I don't think we're in – I look at the ages as well of Manchester United. These guys are all pretty much in their prime. Like, they should win. It's on Manchester United to pull this one out. If you can't win, hey, at 29, Pogba 27, Martial 24, even Cavani 33, Maguire 27, Fernandes 25, the perfect age for a false nine attacking mid. Like, that's it.
Mm-hmm. I also think ultimately as well, with your point on that too, with Mkhitaryan, actually, guys, get in the live chat with this. Just a really random question that has nothing to really do with the show. But I was just thinking with Mkhitaryan, all I think of when I think Mkhitaryan is Kagawa. And in my head, I'm always asking myself, which signing from Dortmund am I most disappointed that didn't work out, Kagawa or Mkhitaryan? Because both, when they joined Manchester United, look like absolute ballers. Get in the live chat with that one, guys. Just a quick spin-off question. And I might even come to you two at the end to see what you think on that. But I agree. Mkhitaryan, when he joined United, I was so excited. And even some of those performances in the United shirt, the guy has class, man. I think that's what it is. He's just got that class. He oozes that appeal. And I'm not comparing it as a player, but you know, whenever like Zidane would touch the ball and there's just a classy way that he strides around the pitch. Bergkamp had it as well. Like, I'm not saying that you can match Mkhitaryan up against them quality for quality, etc., but it's that swagger that Mkhitaryan has. It's very old school. And I love that about him. And I really hope he does it. Yeah. That's probably where it comes from. The street footballer within him, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it's very, very... Funny enough, Rooney was another one who had that swagger. And again, he was more of a street footballer. And I feel like those street footballers are sort of leaving the game a little bit now. You don't sort of see those classy players anymore.
No, it's unfortunate because it doesn't happen much here. Every kid is in an academy now. When I grew up, playing academies, are you kidding? And now all these kids play, 3-4 times a week. Their parents or guardians drop them off, but they don't play for fun. If you don't play for fun, you're not going to become that baller. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a good point. Look, Jeff and Stu, I'll bring you both in on this discussion. I was just thinking about my United team there. I don't know if you would go against this, but I personally think a mixture of what I want to see and what I think Ollie would go with would potentially be De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire. Sure, I think that speaks for itself, that back five at the moment. I then potentially think he might go for a midfield two of Pogba and Matic. Loads of European experience in there. If Matic needs to drop off to aid that attacking midfielder for Roma, he's got the option to do that. Pogba then basically would get the whole midfield to conduct it himself. And then I think the front four potentially would be Greenwood, Bruno, Rashford and Cavani. Do you think, I suppose the only big decisions in midfield there maybe, Stu?
I think you're right. I think that's how he'll go. I don't want him to do that, but I think you've picked the starting 11 for me. But I don't want that. I really do think the game is made for Donny. I really do. I think Roma will give Donny the space because I don't think they'll press us. I know Wayne says they do play, but Wayne was quite right, and I loved his analogy. It's a Jekyll and Hyde. Who knows, what his starting 11 is going to be? Because even a fan like Wayne doesn't know what the starting 11 is going to be. So Ollie hasn't got probably any idea what he's facing up against. So for me, I just think that there'll be gaps in midfield.
Where on the pitch would he start?
You'd have to sacrifice Greenwood for me. You'd have to sacrifice.
So he'd play more towards the right, or
towards the right. You'd have to sacrifice Greenwood. You'd have to have Matic, Donny van de Beek off to the right, Pogba off to the left. Yeah, Fernandes and Rashford just in behind Cavani. Now, for me, Fernandes and Rashford would give the back five an absolute. It'd be a headache for them. It'd be a headache. If, as Wayne says, they're not likely to be able to cope with Cavani's runs, and Cavani's the best in the business at the minute. I think he thinks 2 or 3 seconds ahead of anyone else in the penalty area. They will have a nightmare with Rashford and Bruno. I also think what it will do, it will free Bruno's shackles. People are in the comments at the minute about Bruno's not being this, Bruno's not being that. But we all saw at Leeds he's having to come back, and he struggles when McTominay or the McFred partnership is on the pitch.
He has to drop back, right, just to get the ball.
I think he's been great, yeah.
His overall play's been brilliant.
Yeah, but what he does, he gets frustrated, doesn't he, quickly when he's having to come back and get the ball.
Yeah.
What if? Because
go on, sorry, yeah.
Sorry, Stu, I was just going to say, because I don't think that Ollie will move him out of position like that. I think potentially, and maybe this is what you're sort of maybe explaining, is, well, what if we brought back the diamond that worked so well against Leipzig? Again, if they did play the 3 at the back and they had the number 10 behind the two front men, so to speak, you'd also be able to match up a little bit there. So Matic will be able to man mark the number 10 and offer adequate cover. But ultimately, then again, there you've got the opportunity to put maybe a Fred or McTominay in that midfield with Matic, Van der Beek, and Bruno. Pogba. Or Bruno, you've got the option. And I think maybe that would work better. I think maybe if you've got Matic holding or Fred holding potentially, or maybe not Fred, you're going to have Matic. Then I think you can then go maybe Fred. I don't know. You maybe have to go Fred, Donny, Bruno, and maybe rest Pogba. You get 5 substitutions. This is the thing I've got to make out with the Europa League. You get 5 substitutions. The ultimate thing is here, trusting Ollie. Jeff, let me come over to you with this one. If we did make changes, is trusting Ollie to make those changes into the game to really change the game up once more. If, for instance, Pogba did start on the bench, or Rashford or Greenwood did start on the bench.
Well, he uses substitutions if there's a dire situation, but if it's just a steady situation like the Leeds game last time, sorry, I was still frustrated from that. But I don't think we can trust Ole with the substitutions that much. I mean, when he does it right. But, with his habit, it always comes too late, So I do agree that a diamond can work. And, we can put Bruno with Stu's favorite position as a false 9. Then we have Rashford and Cavani down as a striker pairing. So I hope if we do take advantage of those substitutions, of those 5 substitutions, it's really more for rest and not because we need to change tactics.
I would love to see Rashford and Cavani up front together.
Oh, great. Oh, absolutely.
Again, talking about moving that back 3 around, that'd be a good option.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're having a bit of a dream scenario with you, the manager.
Wishful thinking, eh?
Wishful thinking. Come on, let's get results, shall we? Because I've got to go get back on the road because I've got an hour journey home. Yes. Wayne, come on, Roma fan, big up your side. Old Trafford, Thursday. You must be full of confidence and raring to go. How's that first day going to look for you, my
man? It's going to be nervous, I think. I don't think our players are accustomed to this type of match before. Some of them, but it's going to be really interesting to see Pogba against an Italian team again. And I think that Fernandes is going to be a lot to handle. And I think that we really need our top players to step up. And if they don't, United's going to run through us. If they do, then I think a few people might be surprised with the scoreline.
Wayne. I need a result in writing, mate. I need it in black and white. Come on, Wayne. Come on. Don't sit on the fence, Wayne. Come on. You're on a Man United fan channel. You've got United fans watching now in their house. Tell them what Roma are going to do to us. Make us scared. It make us all the sweeter when we beat you, mate. Come on, tell us.
I'm too nice to make people feel scared. I really hope Spinazzola has a big game, and I can't wait to see that battle on your right flank. In terms of your left, I think Karsdorp might have an opening, and if our defenders can keep hold of Cavani, they're going to get frustrated, and that might open up channels for Roma. I think that could be a big part of it. We clogged up Ajax really well. if you look at that game, they had like 75% possession. They did nothing with it. They have great players, but we played a really disciplined match. We made a bunch of mistakes, but at the end of the day, they held on. Ajax had really not much against Tadic, who probably would start for Manchester United or Roma. And that was not a surprise. That was not a performance that I was expecting at all. I didn't think of us to be locked down in that type of way and then get a goal. So I was surprised. This Roma is still surprising us. So we have yet to see their real face.
So you're going for a 1-0, 2-1 Roma?
I'm going to go 1-1.
1-1. Okay, you take that going into the second leg, right? You take that result.
Yeah, this is going to go to Roma.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Interesting stuff. Jeff, what about you?
Might go with 2-1, but then we'll get a bigger game out back in Rome, so because we do much better away from Old Trafford this season. But those seats might have changed or might have changed the effect on the players. So yeah, might be a 2-1, 3-1 at best.
Interesting. I've got to check something here, by the way. I've just had a thought in my head. Okay, interesting. Stu, your predictions?
Yeah, we're not conceding. I think we're going to win 2-0.
You took the words out of my mouth.
We're not conceding. If Jacko scores against us, Ben, then oh God.
But you know what? When you said earlier on about Dzeko and Harry Maguire and your confidence there, look, I was shocked at how well they dealt with Ibrahimovic when he came on. And you can say what you want about Ibrahimovic. He's still a massive handful. I think Maguire and Lindelof excel in those battles. And also, like, I'd be more worried if there was more. Yeah, for me, I'm sorry, Wayne. You've come on and you've been brilliant, by the way, and you've said a lot of things. But I'm not that nervous going into this game. I fancy United 2 or 3-0. I really fancy us to do the job comfortably and go to Rome with some sort of margin there. And maybe I'll be shocked again. With all this stuff like Wayne mentioned in his bit, it's all the if, buts, and maybes with predictions, and it's all around how you feel going into the game. But ultimately, both sets of fans here have said we don't know which of our sides are going to turn up. We just don't know what Roma side is going to take to the field, and then how that Roma side is going to play. We don't know what United side is going to play on that field, what players turn up, and how we're going to play. It's going to be interesting. But when you go toe to toe with how great this Roma team can play and how great this Man United team could play, ultimately I've got to be confident going into this one, and for some reason I am. I've not had enough sleep, guys. I think that's what it is. 2-0. Interesting. Right, guys, thank you for watching. Smash the like in this video, subscribe. Wayne, thank you so much for coming over, buddy. Where can people at you after we beat you 6-0 on Thursday?
Thanks, everybody. It's Wayne in Rome. So that's the pun of my Twitter.
Mate, honestly, you've been great, man. You've been absolutely great. Thank you so much. You've spoken really, really well. So thank you for that. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I've also got my website, wayneandrome.com. If you like reading about anything and everything, I do a lot of different just writing on every type of topic, from growing up as a football fan to growing up in New Jersey or whatever it is, or The Sopranos, anything and everything I write about. So check out my website.
Well, mate, if you write as good as you talk, I bet it's a fantastic read. So thank you, bud. Really appreciate your time. We'll definitely do something in the future. Jeff, once again, thank you, man. Stu, thank you. On to Roma. It's a semi-final. It's so important we cross that mentality when it comes to semi-finals and Ollie not progressing through to finals. I really fancy us against Roma, but we'll wait and see. Maybe that's a curse that we didn't need as Manchester United. Thank you guys for watching. Get your comments in below, your score predictions, please. And we'll see you straight after the game with a reaction show. And of course, Wall the Reds tomorrow night, building up to the game at 9 o'clock. For now, stay safe. Ciao, everyone.